why I am relaunching the podcast, why it keeps the name, and what I want to do with you this year. Welcome everybody back here to the Iamaloha podcast. I know I've taken a break of a bit more than a year, I think. Yeah. The last podcast that I did, before the Christmas greetings that I sent out this year was how I explained to you that I was leaving Germany to start my nomad life. So I did that. I spent 6 incredible months abroad. No, actually it was 7 months. Starting out with my cousin's wedding in Florida and then heading out to Nicaragua, spending time there in a nomad house, which was interesting for myself, where I confirmed a couple of things for myself, but you'll learn about that later in the podcast. And of course, I want to share with you all the learnings that I had through that time. I left Nicaragua to spend a week in Mexico City before I got back to Nicaragua, before I finally left. And I think it was like middle of April to head down to Ecuador, meet my family there, and then go back to Germany, where again I went through a couple of things there. One of the most important ones was to actually leave my apartment, which means I actually don't have an apartment anymore. I'm really living out of my suitcase. I don't have a car anymore. That one's sold as well. Went through my process there. While giving back to community, I was volunteering for a children's project in the city. And then I got, was doing a couple of things for my German clients. And then by the end of the year, I decided to go to Thailand for 2 months. I organized an online conference over there. And while I was going through my own other things, again, I have a lot to tell you for over a year, but yeah, for now, that's when it came to me that I need to restart, that I want to reconnect with everybody in English, because I feel on one hand, I reach more people talking in English. I think that I have some good inspirations for others like me. And so that impulse came up, and I've been working on that for the past couple of weeks. Actually, it's not so hard. It's actually just bringing my things that I have in my brain down on paper or into this podcast for you guys. But for now, just let me give you this point for everybody who has already subscribed to this podcast before. Don't worry, the Hawaiian philosophy is still a huge part of my life, and I'm heading out to Hawaii in in less than a week, to get some more insight, learn even more, deepen even more the whole philosophy, because it is a huge part of my life. I live most of the things that I do. I live by hooponopono and huna philosophy, so that will be a big part of this podcast as well. But I'm adding a little bit more to it because I want to address especially people trying to find their identity, because that's one of the baddest adventures that I've gone on in the last couple of years. And I'd like to take you along with me, because I think I can give you some inspirations for yourself. And not only do I want to address people on the search for identity, but also especially those who are a little bit like me, torn in between cultures, meaning multiracial, multicultural, cosmopolitan children as well, because you don't have to be born of different cultures like I did. There's also so many of us out there that were born to one racial parents, but were raised in a different country. So that clashes with your identity as well. And that's why I am keeping the name of Iamaloha. I came up with Iamaloha, I think it was 2.5 years ago when I was on Hawaii, because I was learning about the I am. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but you can Google it, definitely. And please don't hold me to what I'm telling you now, but basically it's I am is the ultimate being, the ultimate space of I am. That's what we call God, the divine, because there's nothing, nothing else. It's just I am. And of course, for me, I do understand the concept of I am. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done for that, but I understand the concept of it. But for me, there was a little bitsy teeny tiny thing missing, because in my belief system, the divine is actually the ultimate love that has no boundaries, no descriptions, no nothing. So that the ultimate I am is love. So for me, that's why I added the aloha, having my connection to the Hawaiians, because for me, aloha is love. So iamaloha means that being, the ultimate being, love. And I know there's still, I think for all of us, we still have to go a long way till we get there. Or maybe not too long, but we're on the way. And I think the important part is that of being on the way. So that's why I'm keeping the name. And that's why now I'm calling the podcast I Am Aloha, come home to your true self. And because it is like coming home when you find out who you truly are, who you want to be. I believe that a lot of us in our culture don't learn who we are allowed to be. It's like there's 3 steps to it. On one hand, being mindful to see who we are or who we are at the moment. And then allowing ourselves to make changes, to make adjustments in it, to become that person who we truly want to be, who we truly are. Without it to be, how do you say, like, I don't want it to be because I have to be for someone else. I want to be the best me, the way I feel comfortable with myself. So that means allowing myself also to be my true self. That's one thing. And the other thing that I've learned on my path, and those are the 3 things that I'm going to take you through here in this podcast. Give yourself more mindfulness to see who you are on one hand. Allow yourself to be different. Transform that for yourself, which means letting go. This is where hooponopono comes in very strongly. Sorry, it's 4 things. And the 4th thing that I believe makes a huge thing is using would be the wrong word, because I don't want to say that we're going to use our ancestors, but the thing is, I don't want ancestors to define us. We define ourselves. But it helps to look at our ancestors and to set that ancestral power within us free. Because I believe that there's a certain power that we were given, that there are certain gifts that were given to us by our ancestors. And if we unlock that, then we can find more about our true self. And find out what we love to do is finding out who we truly are. And that's by finding out who we are. So you see, it's sort of like a circle that comes in. And I believe that the more we allow ourselves to be us, the more peace we're going to have on this earth. And I believe, and that's why I want to put this out here for the cosmopolitans, for the multiracial people, because I believe with this whole globalization on this planet, we are becoming more and more. There's more of us being created because of it. I mean, there's a lot of multiracial people in the US, I know, but there's also how many Latinos are out there that are mixed in with US, with Europeans, with Asians, or how many Asians are out there being mixed. I'm part Asian. There's a Chinese part inside of me. So there's also Asians and Africans, and all over the world we have all those multiracial kids. But not only those, we also have one racial kids that are I don't want to see dragged, but are taken through different countries, growing up with their parents. And this can be people that, like people that work for embassies, but also look at the digital nomad world right now. There's so many kids that are raised in different countries. And I believe for them as well, we are taught to find our identity in the community we're at. And most of the time, the communities that we're at are not so much like us, because most of the time, we are encountered, at least it was in my case, and I bet that there's more of us out there as well, that we did have a couple of multiracials around us, but we were taught to adjust. We were taught to adjust to the place that we were staying in, which is good. I mean, it's okay. It's good to adjust, but it's also very important to allow yourself to be who you are. We can, there's a fine line where you can find to be yourself, to be truthful to yourself, but also fit into the environment you're at, or respecting the environment you're staying at. So this is what I want to do with this podcast, is I want to bring awareness to us. I know that there's this new term. I don't know if it's an international term or if it's only here in Europe, but it's the third culture children. And yeah, that's supposed to be the new term for us, for the children that are born into more than one culture. And I want to bring that awareness with this podcast on one hand. I want to I want to start interviewing a couple of people as well to talk about other multiracial people, and not just multiracial people. It's about identity. This podcast is supposed to be about identity, about the I am, about how to find your own identity. So this is where I'm also going to interview people who had to find themselves in a not so friendly environment, and how they did that and how they overcame that, to give us an idea, to give you inspiration of how to be your true self, to come home to your true self. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I'm looking forward to spending more time with you, with the podcast, and give you some more inspiration. The first couple of series are going to be about my last year that I haven't told you about, because there were a couple of things that I realized on my path that I hope will inspire you too. And I'm looking forward to taking you on this trip. And I don't know where you're listening into, where you're tuning into. You're going to be able to see the podcast here on YouTube, on I think I have to see if I can make it technically possible, but definitely on YouTube, on the Facebook fan page. And you're going to be able to listen to it on Spotify, Google Play, and where else are we on? iTunes as well. Yes, of course. Well, all the major platforms. And there's a website for it as well. So however it feels best for you to do it. If you like to see me, come on over to the fan page or to the YouTube channel and subscribe to that one. And if you can, I'm setting up a newsletter that right now I'm not filling up yet, but I'm going to start soon as well, because I'll inform you whenever there's a new episode, and also to show you to let you know about new stuff. Because I have a little training set up for you that is called How to Set Up Goals Properly. Because it's the beginning of the year and it's important to set goals, but it's important to set them properly so that we don't get demotivated. So for all of you out there, and I wrote this one specially because, well, some of you might know. I don't know if I've actually mentioned this in the podcast. No, I think I did. I used to have a depression because I wasn't in a good place with my work. So now that I'm doing what I love, I'm not depressed anymore. But I had to learn how to motivate myself, not being in a non-motivated state. So that's why I made this little training for you, how to set your goals the right way. And I hope you like it. It's a small training that just shows you how to motivate yourself, how to stop procrastinating, and how to reach your goals. So I'm wishing you a lot of fun with this. And if you like this, please leave me a review on iTunes or on Google Play or on Spotify. No, you can't do that on Spotify, sorry. Or leave me a comment on the YouTube channel. Whatever you do, please stay tuned, and I hope you liked it. And See you soon, and a big mahalo, a big thank you from my heart to you for listening, and talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye. If you like the episode, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you can, and if this is a platform for it, please leave me a comment or a review. This will help me to keep the podcast running. Thank you very much.